They told the world that Britain's empire was built on ships, soldiers, and colonies. But the real engine of its global domination was quieter, hidden behind marble facades and mahogany desks. It was a financial system unlike anything the world had ever seen, a system that transformed debt into power and money into empire. Britain didn't just conquer with muskets and cannons, it conquered with credit. The bankers of London turned war, trade, and even famine into tools for financial expansion. Since you've spent your time analyzing systems and hosting events like CyberCon, you'll appreciate the logic here. This wasn't just about wealth, it was about building a financial operating system that the rest of the world had to run on. Welcome back to the Hidden Ledger. 1. The 1694 Hard Fork. Institutionalizing public debt. In the late 17th century, England's credit was a disaster. Kings borrowed from goldsmiths and often defaulted, essentially crashing the early financial system. The creation of the Bank of England in 1694 was the ultimate system patch. By allowing wealthy investors to lend to the state rather than the monarch, Britain created national debt. For the first time, debt was no longer a personal liability of a king. It was a permanent tradable security backed by the future tax revenues of the entire nation. This allowed Britain to borrow at much lower interest rates than its rivals, giving them a nearly infinite liquidity pool to fund their global ambitions. 2. The bond market, Britain's Indestructible. Hardware throughout the 1700s, every war Britain fought was actually a test of its bond market. While France and Spain relied on chaotic high-interest loans that often led to bankruptcy, Britain issued consols, perpetual bonds. These weren't just loans, they were the security certificates of the 18th century. Investors knew that as long as Britain's trade continued, their interest would be paid. This allowed a small island nation to maintain a burn rate that would have bankrupted any other country. During the 7 Years' War, Britain raised astronomical sums, over £100 million, to fight on 4 continents simultaneously. France, despite being richer on paper, couldn't keep up with the financing speed, and eventually collapsed into the financial crisis that sparked the French Revolution. 3. The East India Company, the corporate military hybrid. The East India Company, EIC, was the ultimate subsystem of the British financial machine. It was a hybrid creature, part corporation, part government, and part private military. Investors in the City of London didn't just buy shares in spices, they bought shares in conquest. The EIC raised its own private armies, larger than the actual British army, to extract taxes and resources from millions of people in India. This revenue wasn't just profit, it was the fuel that was funneled back into London to pay off the interest on the national debt. It was a perfect, brutal feedback loop between credit, commerce, and conquest. 4. Defeating Napoleon via the consul market. Napoleon Bonaparte was a military genius, but he lacked a modern financial backend. He relied on plunder and extraction from the lands he conquered. Britain, meanwhile, stayed in the game by borrowing over £600 million on the London bond market. At one point, Britain's debt was over 200% of its GDP, yet the system didn't crash. Why? Because the global investor class believed in the integrity of the ledger. Britain outlasted Napoleon not just at Waterloo, but in the counting houses of London. By the time the dust settled, Britain emerged as the world's sole superpower, with a debt system that everyone else now wanted to join. 5. Empire by ledger. The Sterling Protocol and the Gold Standard. By the 19th century, the City of London had become the root server of global finance. Through the gold standard, Britain projected an image of absolute stability. Every pound was hard-coded to a fixed amount of gold. This credibility allowed British bankers to finance railways in Argentina, mines in South Africa, and plantations in the Caribbean. If a nation wanted to participate in global trade, they had to adopt the Sterling Protocol. They had to align their monetary policies with London's expectations. This was empire by loan agreement as much as by flag. 6. The human cost of system efficiency. We have to look at the bugs in this system, which were often features for the investors. The Opium Wars. To fix a trade deficit with China, British merchants forced a toxic commodity, opium, into the Chinese market. When the system was challenged, the British Navy enforced the ledger, the famines of India. While the financial system was highly efficient for London bondholders, it was devastating for the vulnerable. Massive amounts of grain were exported from India to meet global market demands, even while millions were starving. The 2026 legacy. Are we still in the loop? Why does this matter to you as a cybersecurity student at ITU? Because the financial system we use today is a direct descendant of this British model. The concept of permanent national debt, the dominance of central banks, and the use of credit as a weapon are all part of the same playbook. Britain may no longer rule the seas, but the model of finance it pioneered still rules the world. When you see global debt climbing or financial bubbles inflating, you are seeing the 18th century British engine still running on modern hardware. Join the hidden ledger. Real wealth is not just about having resources, it's about controlling the flow of the system. Those who set the terms of the debt are the ones who write history. Financial education is your only firewall against being exploited by these historical dynamics. Understand how money and power intertwine, and never stop questioning the inevitable systems you are told to trust. Hit the subscribe button and join the Hidden Ledger family. History has the answers, and I'll show you exactly where to look in the archives.